Today we're going to answer the question, can you take quality photographs with an older DSLR camera? We're going to be specifically talking about the Canon 30D, which came out in 2006. Stay tuned, we're going to cover that topic and more.
Cameras, they are what they are, right? They take pictures, they keep our memories, but there's a lot of differences. So today we're going to talk about that. Today we're going to talk about, can you take quality photographs with an older camera? Absolutely you can. If anybody's done any research on cameras, you know that cameras can be very expensive. I've seen some as high as $4,000 or more, and that's before you buy lenses. That's before you buy a flash. That's before you buy all the little goodies that go with it. That's a substantial amount of money. If you're like me, I like to do things efficiently. My wife calls me cheap. I call it efficiently. When I wanted to get back into photography, there were some conditions, and the conditions were mine. And those conditions were, I don't want to dump a ton of money into this just to take pictures of my family. If this thing turns into a business, yeah, I can understand. I'm going to have to put some more money into lenses. I get that. I may have to buy new camera bodies. I may have to buy pieces and parts. I get that. But to start out, I wanted to be efficient money-wise. So I began to research, and I learned some things. And those things were very important to me. Now, doing some research on Google, you're going to see that cameras, they have enormous pixel counts today. I mean, look at your cell phone. They have cameras that have 40 megapixels. 40! That is huge if you don't understand that. A megapixel is a square. If you look at a digital picture on your phone and you zoom in really close, you're going to see little squares of color. All those tiny, tiny little squares put together is what makes your picture. Okay? So I started looking at these cameras and I was like, wow, there's so many choices out here. I really got to figure out what's going on. I need to learn. I need to research and figure it out. I saw the high megapixel cameras. I saw the newest, latest, greatest stuff. I saw the enormous price tags that went along with them. I didn't want that. So, like anybody else, I jumped on Amazon. I jumped on eBay. I jumped on a website called KEH Camera and one called MPB Camera. They both sell used camera gear. But the choices were still enormous. So back to Google I went. Back to researching I went to figure out, where do I need to start in this journey? Now, some interesting things that I learned were, it doesn't take huge amounts of megapixels to make great pictures. The megapixels really come into play when you want to print your pictures. So a smaller megapixel camera will still print good 8x10s, even larger than that. I think the last ones I printed were 16x24. Okay, that's a very large picture. That was for a business. The cameras that I were using had approximately 8 megapixels or less. Okay, that's what's important. The first camera that I bought years and years ago was an Olympus Evolt 500. In the day that I bought that camera, I bought it brand new. It cost me about $600, maybe a little more. I took that camera and I really tried to learn photography. I could do okay in the automatic modes. I got a flash that went on top of the camera. I could still do okay. Some of them were overexposed, some of them were underexposed. I didn't know everything that I needed to know. But I kept trying to use that camera. And at the time, I was a real estate agent. And if you know anything about selling a house, it's the pictures that sell the house. You gotta have good pictures. So this camera did very well for that. But you have to remember, I was taking pictures during the daytime, lights coming in the window that were lighting up the house, which helped a lot. Okay? So as I said, the very first camera that I bought brand new years ago, wait a minute, I take that back. The very first camera that I ever had was I want to say a Nikon, but I don't remember. It was in the days of film cameras. It was really cool. Had 3-4 lenses with it, a nice body. It shot film. In those days, you just couldn't take a picture and take a look at it and see what it looked like. You had to take the whole roll of film. You sent it off. You got it developed. You got your pictures back. A lot of times when I got my pictures back, I wasn't very happy. Some of them come out overexposed. Some of them come out underexposed. Some of them come out completely dark, black pictures. I had no idea what I was doing with this camera, and I had nobody to teach me. It was something that I wanted to do. That's probably been 20 years ago. I ended up pawning that camera. It had to go, and I used the money for some other hobby that I was into at that time. So fast forward back to the Olympus eVault 500. I bought it brand new. Cost me about $600 some. Came in a box. Had 2 lenses with it. One of them was a small lens. One of them was a little bit longer, you know, the telephoto thing. And I really thought I had something. The cool thing about it was I can now take a picture, and if it came out black, if it came out overexposed, if it came out completely white, if it came out terrible, it had a delete button. That was awesome. Okay, so I was able to delete photos and to keep on taking photos and shooting things. I did learn some. I did well with that camera in automatic mode. Matter of fact, I'll show you the camera. Hold on just a moment. All right, so I've kept it all these years. This was my Olympus eVault 500 camera that I bought brand new in the box. It still works. And this camera, which came out in around, I want to say, I probably bought it around 2005. It had some advanced features that a lot of cameras got away from that they're now coming back to and they're touting as a benefit. This camera had it way back in 2005, 2006. This is an older camera, very old. Still works very well. Takes great pictures. The Olympus eVault 500 was a 4/3 mount. I know you might not know what that means, but it's the size of the sensor and the connection and the whole 9 yards. Okay, we're not going to get into all those details. But the neat thing about this camera was it had auto ISO. ISO is how fast, in digital cameras, the sensor is exposed to light. To relate it to film, it's how fast the film would have been exposed to light. So it's how long that shutter stays open and exposes light to whatever's recording it. This had auto ISO in 2005, which means there's 3 things that you got to know to take good pictures. You have to know ISO settings, aperture settings, and shutter speed settings. Those 3 things from, gosh, probably the beginning of time until today. Without those 3 things, if you mess one up, your picture doesn't come out well. So you got to learn what does what. This had auto ISO. I could put it on that setting. I could walk outside, pretty much take a picture. It would come out okay. I could walk inside where there's less light because the sun's not on me. Take a picture. It would come out pretty much okay. It adjusted by itself. I only had to know 2 things now. Aperture and shutter speed. That's all I had to know. Okay. This had auto ISO. It was a great thing. This camera does still work. Hold on just a moment. It had auto ISO. It has auto white balance, which is a plus. It has some different settings that you really don't see a lot today, but it was a great camera. It still is a great camera. Do I still shoot it? Absolutely. From time to time, I will pull it out. I kept it to remind me where I came from. Okay. Great camera. As you can see, it does still work. It does still take pictures. Okay. This uses what they call a CF card for memory. The CF card was the larger card, not the small stuff that we have today, the larger card. This was a big card. And the thing about cameras back then is they couldn't take a very large memory card. Come on, we were coming into the electronic age. We were still discovering that you can make large memory items in very small packages. And look at micro SD cards today. You can get 100 gigabyte. You can get a terabyte on a little tiny card. We couldn't do that then. They did not know that. Okay. So as I said, this is one of the very first cameras I ever bought. First digital DSLR. DSLR, if you don't understand, digital single lens reflex camera. That's what that means. First digital I bought. to try to use with my family. Took some great pictures with it. I'm going to try to pull some off this card if it's still in the camera. I haven't used this in a while, and show you some of the pictures it took. This was from 2005. Okay, so I bought this camera. I used it. Put it down for a minute. I did use it. As most men do, you go from hobby to hobby sometimes, and I put the camera down. It sat in its camera bag for many years. It was protected, but it sat in a bag for many years just because cell phones were invented, and cell phones with cameras were invented. I got a camera in my pocket now. I didn't need to carry a big camera, or so I thought. While we're talking about cell phone cameras, yes, you can take pictures with cell phone cameras. Some of them are amazing. I think my cell phone now has like 5 little lenses on the back. 5 instead of 1. 5. They all do something different. I don't know that I've figured all of them out yet. I don't know that I've used all of them. I have no idea. But it takes okay pictures. Now, with that being said, you can learn to take pictures with a cell phone. You can take some great pictures with a cell phone. Now, the combination of cell phones and filters that are out there today, you can really do some cool stuff. But I'm going to tell you this. Cell phones have limitations. Those limitations, over the years, and me having 2 sons who decided they wanted to play soccer, are the reason that I picked up a regular camera again, a DSLR. They're the reason. We, just like any other parents, were going to the soccer games outside, big soccer field, and taking pictures with our cell phone. Hold on, I'll let you reflect a moment on what that does. Yeah, if they're more than about 15, 20 feet from you, that picture ain't too good. Matter of fact, it still bothers me to this day that my youngest son, on a vacation, we went to the beach, and it was really a nice place. It backed right up to the canal. Old Dad sat out there with a fishing pole. He enjoyed himself. But my youngest son came down there and wanted to learn to fish. And he did. And he caught his very first fish on that vacation. The fact of the matter was, it was almost dark when he did so. But I had to take a picture of that. I'm a dad. This is my kid's first fish. I had to take a picture of that. Whipped out the cell phone, took a picture. I ain't going to show you that picture. That picture is absolutely horrible. And the thing about it is, I never get another chance to take that picture. I never get another chance to take a picture of my son catching his very first fish, because that moment is gone. One of the most important things about photography is it stops time. It is important. And if you don't think photos are important, wait until they're all you have. If that's all you got, there's so many reasons. Kids grow up, go off to college. People pass away. People move. People get out of your life. People get into your life. Sometimes photographs are all you have. If you don't capture it, you got nothing. Okay. So, as I say, cell phones can take great pictures. We did. We went to these soccer games. We took pictures of our kids playing soccer with the cell phone, and, well, you know, they are what they are. The other thing is, if you really want to see what your photos look like, you need to print them. You need to have them printed. You need to have a lab, preferably not one of the big box stores or a drugstore. Print them, because their printing is not the best. You need to have somebody that specializes in printing photos print those photos so you can see what they look like. So I can tell you right now, if you print a sports picture that's got any distance from you to that person at a printer, you're not going to be happy. It's not going to be what you want. It's not going to be, you might hang it up on your wall, but it ain't going to be what you want. Okay? That's where DSLRs come back into play. They can do so much. They can manipulate a photo. They can take pictures in places that a camera ain't gonna take a picture. If it's too dark, they may still be able to pull out that picture. Okay, it's very important. So let me show you the next camera when I got back into photography. After using that Olympus Evoke 500 again to see if this is what I wanted to do, I thought, well, let's see what else is out there. Maybe step up a little bit. There was not a lot of accessories for the Olympus because I don't even think Olympus sells cameras anymore. So pretty much what I had was what I had. And I wanted to be able to, if this thing expanded into anything, I wanted to be able to buy new lenses and flashes and all the goodies. And if Olympus didn't offer that, I couldn't get it. So I began the search. I went on eBay. I went on Amazon. I saw different cameras. Went on KEH. I went to MPB. I saw different cameras. I saw all kinds of things. Didn't know what I was looking at. I did some research and I discovered the Canon 30D. The Canon 30D is probably close to being as old as the Olympus Evo 500, if not as old. Pardon that if you heard it. It was a fire truck going by. Pray for whoever it was. Hope everything comes out okay. Anyway, the Canon D is probably just as old, maybe a little bit newer than the Olympus Evo 500 because I don't remember when the 500 came out. But it was a little bit different than what I had, and it had a lot of accessories because it had the EF mount for the lenses, and that's something that Canon calls that mount that they use at the time, EF, okay? Which meant that I could buy lenses that were of different focal lengths and do different things. Different flashes work with this camera. There's another plus, so I bought it. And the neat thing about this Canon 30D, being as old as it is, it's not the latest greatest thing. And not everybody wants it. And it doesn't cost $4,000. On a budget, there it is. We got something that doesn't cost $4,000 that takes great pictures. And in this video, I'm going to try to pull some pictures and I'm going to put them in there to show you some pictures actually taken with this camera. Okay. I take a lot of pictures now. My hobby has developed into a small business. I do take portrait work. I am a team affiliate photographer for two sports teams, two semi-professional sports teams. One is the Fayetteville Fury in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the other is the Fayetteville Marksmen in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The Fayetteville Fury is the semi-professional soccer team here in town, and the Fayetteville Marksmen are the semi-professional hockey team. They're in the SPHL, which is a few levels down below the NHL. But it's just the same. It is full-on action from time go, just like watching NHL. I had to learn some things to be able to do that. But let me show you this camera. Let me show you this Canon 30D that I bought. Okay? And maybe, if you're looking for a camera, it may not be a 30D, but it may open your mind to looking at some older cameras that still function beautifully and don't cost a fortune. Okay? Hold on a second. All right, so this is the Canon 30D that I bought, and this is exactly how I bought it. Okay, this is a Canon 30D body, this part. This is a 18-55 kit lens. It comes when you buy it new in the box, just like I did with that Evo 500 years ago, with a lens, maybe two in the box, so you can take pictures right away. Now, the drawback to that is the lenses that come as part of a kit, they do great, but they're not professional level. They're not super duper high quality. They are enough to get you taking pictures. The lens that came with this, I don't know if you can see it. It is an 18-55. This is how I bought it. 18-55 means 18 millimeter to 55. This is a, for lack of better words, a mini telephoto. In other words, it'll shoot 18 millimeters and you can zoom all the way into 55. Okay. But the neat thing about this is I paid less than $100 for this camera, just as it is, less than $100. I took some great photos with it. I told you I'm going to show you some of those photos later, okay? Some of those will be from probably the soccer team. Some of those are from maybe a portrait or two. If I can dig one up, I've got a lot of photos. And some will be from the hockey team. I use this to shoot the hockey team. Most people that are out there taking photos now would tell you I am insane. I am using very old technology that does not have a very wide ISO range. That's one thing that I didn't understand when I started watching YouTube was people talking about shooting things in ISO 12,500. If you go back to the film days when you went to the local, I don't know, Walmart, we call them Roses around here, whatever, and you bought film that came in certain speeds. You had 100, 200, 400, 800, maybe 1,000. That was it. Okay? That is, once again, the amount of time that it takes to expose that sensor, and the larger the number, 100, the larger the number up to 1,000 is much quicker. That can cause you some problems. So back then in film days, you had to know. You kind of had to know that 100, 200, 300, I'd shoot 100 outside when the conditions were beautifully perfect with sunshine and nothing else. If I had to go up to 200, it might not have been as bright outside. It may have been a little cloudy. 400, a little cloudy. You see where I'm going with that? So we had to know the difference. Nowadays, with these cameras, we just select it and move on. I can take one picture at 100 and the next picture at 800 and the next picture at 200 and etc. In those days, you had to shoot the whole roll, but you just couldn't take it out. You had to shoot the whole roll and get it developed. Okay, so if you bought the wrong film, you were limited to certain conditions. DSLRs are different. Okay, so once again, this is the Canon 30D with an 18 to 55 lens on it, which is kind of a short lens. You watch football and whatnot on TV, and you see those guys with lenses that are extremely long. They have a lot bigger lens that consume a lot further and have a lot more detail. You also see some lenses that are bigger around. It's the difference inside the lens, okay? Different lenses come with different price tags, remember that. But this right here, for less than $100, if you're looking to take pictures of your family, if you're looking to take pictures of your travel, just what you would normally do. If you're not looking to become a photographer, you just want some great pictures. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. There's Canon 30D, 40D, 50D, 60D, 70D, 80D, 90D, and they keep going. And each time that they came out, they got a little bit better. I think with the 60 or 70D, that probably came out around 2015, they started being able to shoot video as well. And I think the 70D, if I'm not mistaken, has the fold-out screen that you can turn over, and so you can look at the screen back here and actually do live shoot where you can see it moving on the screen as you're focusing and whatnot. This does not. This is all through the viewfinder, okay? But I'm going to tell you a little secret about this camera right here, and I'm going to tell you a secret about older cameras. Everybody on YouTube is selling you brand new stuff. Latest, greatest, that's what they do. They promote the latest and greatest. But I'm going to tell you something about this camera right here, and I've told many people this many times. Modern day conveniences are a crutch when you're trying to learn photography. This camera doesn't have any crutches. It doesn't have auto ISO. It doesn't have noise reduction. And noise reduction, just for a quick explanation if you don't understand. You take a picture, it's a little bit dark, and you look at the picture, you zoom in on it, you'll see little white specks. It'll look kind of grainy, for lack of a better word. Noise reduction can reduce some of that. With this camera, you don't have those options. If you got noisy pictures, it had to be corrected in post-production with a photo editing program. You had to do as best you could do. Okay. The ISO of this one, I think it's somewhere around 3200 is as high as it'll go. Maybe 64 if you push it. But it doesn't go as high as those newer cameras that some of them do 25,000. Which didn't make any sense to me because I learned here. But I'm going to tell you now, this doesn't have the crutches. This will make you learn photography. You will learn or you will have terrible pictures. It's not like a cell phone camera that you can pull out. The camera automatically adjusts for everything by itself and you take a picture. It's not like that. But it will make you learn. It will make you a better photographer in the end. I promise you, and it's cheap to get started with this camera. You don't have to drop $500, you don't have to drop $2,000, you don't have to drop $4,000 on a camera to get started. I'm all about helping you learn what will work and what you can use to learn photography without breaking the bank. Because I didn't believe in breaking the bank. Now, I've been shooting again for probably year and a half, I think. I can't remember. In that 1.5 year time period, I have gone from just taking photos of family and our travels. I started taking photos of the high school varsity soccer team that my son plays on. Did have to get some longer lenses to be able to get the good photos because they were so far away from me. This just would not reach far enough to get the good photos. It gave very wide photos with very tiny people. The longer lenses, you can come in and you can actually get larger people. Okay, so that makes a difference. But in my journey, I went from just taking pictures of stuff, family, travels, to taking pictures of the soccer team, and that was quite a learning experience. However, all the soccer team players, the high school soccer team players on the varsity team, they absolutely loved it. They used to ask me, am I going to be at the game? You know, you're going to put pictures up? Where can we get them? That kind of thing. Because everybody likes to have their photo taken. Whether they tell you they do or not, everybody likes to have their photo taken. Just like me on this video. I see myself and I'm like, ain't so bad. But everybody likes it. Okay. So it has grown from that level of high school varsity soccer to I began shooting with the semi-professional soccer team here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And that was a whole new level. Full-grown men playing soccer move quick compared to high school. Very fast. The action was fast. I did a lot of research on how to learn to shoot soccer, to get the ball in the photo with the player, to get the what my son calls a header, you know, where they hit it with their forehead, and all different type things. That grew to a whole new level. But with learning the basics with this camera and how to adjust quickly and how to change things very quickly and what to look for and how to frame a photo, it was successful. Okay. Shortly thereafter, once that season ended, I began to shoot semi-professional hockey with the Fayetteville Marksman hockey team, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, that presents its own challenges. It's inside of a building. The lighting, although when you're sitting there watching the game, looks pretty cool, looks pretty good, looks nice and sharp. It's usually fluorescent lights, maybe LEDs. It is bright in there to the human eye. But when using a camera, the camera doesn't see quite the same way that we do. And you know, that's sometimes when you get those colored pictures, maybe a little yellow, whatever, you have to learn to adjust for that lighting. So shooting hockey became a whole new thing. You talk about fast moving, that's fast moving. Not to mention that they were skating on a sheet of ice, which is white, which reflects light. So I had to learn a lot of things. But again, I became a team affiliate photographer for them. I have learned a ton. But I always say, this is the reason. I shot hockey with this camera. Sure did. Worked me to death. I'm surprised I didn't wear out the little dial on top as fast as I had to make changes to keep up with the action. But it will teach you, you can learn. So my question was earlier today. A question of the video, and the reason I'm doing this video is I've seen posted on Facebook several times in some Facebook groups and whatnot. Can you shoot good photographs with an older camera? The question to that, or the answer to that question is absolutely you can. Absolutely. It's not the camera. Well, in some instances, some things that the new cameras can do, it is the camera. But for a general overall picture, it's not the camera. It's not the camera. It's not the lens. No. It's you. It's you and what you learn. How much time you put into something. How much research. Why do you understand it? Do you want to understand it? Are you willing to read the books, to watch the videos, to sort the good information from the bad, and to actually put this in your hand and go out and shoot pictures? Some of them good, some of them not so good. You got to be willing to learn. What you do with this is based on what you're willing to do to learn. I can give this camera right here to somebody who's been taking pictures or photographs with a DSLR for many, many, many years. Somebody that we would probably consider a very experienced professional. And this camera being as old as it is, with its limitations, they can produce some awesome pictures. It's not the camera, it's the photographer and the knowledge. Sure, camera bodies and camera lenses can make a difference. But don't let that stop you from discovering an old camera. They are still very useful today. They are very plentiful today. Excuse me. They are very plentiful today. As a matter of fact, right before I started this video, I went on eBay. Get this camera right here for about 50 bucks as it sits. Some of them are higher, but about 50 bucks. Can you use an older DSLR to capture great photographs? Absolutely. Absolutely. Get you one, learn, use it. Put it in your hands. Carry it with you. Enjoy it. Hope that answers your question today. Whether you can use an older DSLR to capture great photographs. Maybe I've given you a little insight. Maybe I've given you a little education. Maybe I've bored you to tears. Maybe I look ridiculous on this thing. I don't know. I'm new to YouTube, still trying to learn how to make these videos. I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the video to help the channel grow so I can keep bringing you videos on stuff that works, that doesn't break the bank. My name's JT. I own J Prevette Photography. I am out there shooting. I'm going to be shooting tonight at the hockey game. If you need anything, send me a message. Have a great day.